Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Now I'm jumping on here to really highlight the seriousness of cutting compulsions. Now, to put it as simply as I can, do not expect to recover from OCD while still doing compulsions. It's as simple as that. Even the little subtle ones, even the ones that you say, oh, it's just one more compulsion, it won't cause that much harm. Even the ones that you just let slide, you brush under the carpet, oh yeah, don't worry about that one. No, because they become a problem, because they spread, they get bigger, they have the domino effect, the one compulsion leads to the other. Because when you look at why you're doing compulsions, you're doing it as that safety net, that comfort trap. So if I don't do this compulsion, it means it's real. It's to keep you safe. For example, my biggest compulsion was confession or avoiding or reassurance. Those are my biggest three. But the biggest one out of those was the confessing. Because the reason I confessed was to, right, if I now get it out in the open, if I now get this dark secret off my chest, that's how it feels. It feels like you're holding a dark secret. It feels like you're living a lie. It feels like you're not being truthful. You're being dishonest. This is how it feels. So when I used to confess with real event, false memory, all the taboo-related themes, the guilt-related themes, it felt like, well, I'm now safe because I've told it to someone. I've now got relief because they'll say, oh, Sam, it's just OCD. It's just a thought. You're the last person to do that. You're not a bad person. Blah, 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 blah. And that was my safety net to confirm that it wasn't real, or to confirm that it was just OCD, or to confirm that it was just a thought. You can tell how that was just safety, safety, safety. And obviously cutting that was very difficult, but I had to do that for the long-term recovery and that long-term robust recovery. Short-term relief, when I confessed, zero long-term relief at all. Now, reassurance, okay? Those little subtle ones that we do. I see it all the time on coaching calls. Yeah, but Sam, it's not a problem, but it's just not a problem. But what we don't realise is that those little subtle ones, those ones we're brushing under the carpet, often become a problem. Because if I said to you, well, cut it then. Yeah, but Sam, it's not a problem. Well, it is, because you can't cut it, okay? You can't just stop it. If it wasn't a problem, you would just cut it overnight and that's it, gone. But it's that clinging on to it, is that reluctancy to let go of it is the problem, okay? So we've got to be really, really honest with ourselves. I give a lot of tough love in my calls. I've got complete compassion for OCD sufferers. Of course, I am one. I have OCD. I'm recovered now, but I suffered of OCD very, very bad. Housebound, depressed, suicidal, crying all the time. I was living in in a web, in a restricted mental prison of OCD. Didn't leave the house. Every day was just bombarded by intrusive thoughts and chronic guilt and anxiety all day long. I know how that feels. But I had to cut compulsions. If I just expected to recover, I haven't got here today, all of us on the team here today haven't got here because we've just gone, we'll stick some compulsion there. We'll cut the big ones, but no, we'll still do the little ones. No, okay, they have to all go. Now, whether you do that cold turkey or whether you cut them out bit by bit, I always recommend cold turkey, but I'm very realistic. I know that's probably not always possible. It can be done, of course, but of course it's going to be very, very bumpy and it's going to be a certainly up and down journey. Okay, when I first got compulsions, I was very anxious. The guilt goes up, the anxiety goes up, the shame, the panic, lots of panic attacks. But we have to go through that period. Now, the thing the most frustrating thing that I see coaching people with OCD is that reluctancy, that refusal to feel discomfort in the short term for long-term gain. It's the biggest frustration, because it's plain as day for me to see what's keeping you back, what's holding you back, your resistance to dropping that compulsion. That's what's holding you back. But it's that, no, I'm not going to give it up, because it's my safety net. It's if I drop it, if I cut that compulsion, if I go out of my comfort zone, if I do that exposure, if I stop avoiding, then that means I'm going to feel guilty forever. That means I'm going to be anxious forever. That means I'm going to be stuck forever. That means I'm past the point of no return. I'm going to be haunted forever. That's how it feels. And that is exactly how OCD keeps us in that compulsive cycle. Okay, it's a trap. It's an illusion. Fear is an illusion. We have to view it as, okay, I'm going to feel crap in the short term. I've got to take it day by day, hour by hour. We've got to think, right, Where is cutting this compulsion going to get me in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, 18 months, 2 years, 5 years? Look at it like that. Okay, that's what really, really helped me. You can't just go, right, cut the compulsion, and if I'm saying, how are you feeling? I expect the answer to be, Sam, I'm feeling pretty rough, understandably, right? If you're not feeling rough after cutting the compulsion, if you're not feeling anxious after cutting the compulsion, there's probably not that much of a problem because it's like same with exposure. They go, some people say, oh, that's just too scary. Well, that's the whole reason it's an exposure, because it's going to be scary because you're confronting the fear. You're either stopping avoidance, or you're reading an article, or you're watching a documentary, you're watching a film on something that usually scares you, usually triggers you. So of course it's going to be scary. Okay, so cutting compulsions is going to be very, very scary, obviously. Okay, but you've got to view it as, yes, short-term pain now, but long-term gain towards long-term freedom and robust recovery. That's so, so important. Now, we've got to prioritize this, okay? No one that I've met yet has half-heartedly put the work in, sort of wishy-washy effort, and recovered from severe chronic OCD. It is just not possible, I'm afraid. Maybe mild, maybe sort of, the stereotypical mild OCD, maybe the quirky traits, maybe, but certainly not chronic, severe, life-debilitating, affecting just daily functioning. No, it wouldn't happen, because if you look at, when someone first comes into me on their first call, straight away, listing off all these things that they're doing, I go, right, that's where they're stuck. That's what's holding them back. Yes, they're avoiding that. Yes, their beliefs are very irrational, very rigid, very black and white. Lots of catastrophizing going on. Loads of compulsions, loads of avoidance, blah, blah, blah. So straight away, you can see what's going wrong. Now, if that isn't cut, if we continue, it's the same with beliefs as well. If you continue to have very irrational beliefs and continue to do compulsions, you are giving OCD power. You're giving it that internal framework for it to thrive upon, okay? Because if you're still, let's say, internally catastrophizing in your head, then of course you're not going to make peace with the worst case scenario. If you're continually avoiding triggers, if you're living a whole life of avoidance, then of course you're not going to confront the fear, you're not going to show your brain that it's nowhere near as scary as you perceive, and then you're going to remain in an OCD cycle, an anxiety cycle. Okay? If you're putting off that shame attack, I get this a lot, putting off shame attacks. Sam, that's too scary, I'm not doing that. Okay, that's fine, you don't have to do it. No one's forced you to do a shame attack. But let's look at the reasons why a shame attack would be beneficial. Well, it confronts the fear of, let's say, rejection, embarrassment, humiliation, shame, okay? Now, for example, I'll tell you some shame attacks that I've done. People find this very interesting. This is what I talk about. And I talk about this a lot on my calls, because when I set shame attacks, they go, yeah, but that's fine, I'll do that, but it's scary. Sam, what ones did you do? So I'll tell you some that I've done. So I talk about the sideways cap a lot. I don't usually wear a sideways cap, so I did that. But I also did that whilst, so walking under a sideways cap in a busy high street, asking someone for the time, because I said I couldn't tell the time. I'm too dumb to tell the time. So I had two whammies. It's double whammy. So I had people thinking I'm dressed a bit strangely. I also wore odd shoes as well, things like that, or just dressing a bit funny, sort of clothes-wise, or just things I wouldn't usually wear, where you just feel a bit strange, you just feel a bit different, you feel a bit awkward. Okay, now just asking, what's the time? I can't tell the time. Can you tell me the time whilst I've got a sideways cap? So you've got that fear, you've got the feeling, the uncomfortable feeling, and you've got the anxiety goes up because it feels awkward, it feels strange, it just feels a bit odd, it feels a bit weird. So you get used to that feeling, okay? Now, you've got to think, if your main theme is something like calm OCD, POCD, real event, false memory, anything to do with fear of rejection, okay? If you're not confronting these fears, if you're not doing these shame attacks and these exposures and cutting compulsions, then your brain is still going to be, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. It's terrible. And this is why beliefs instill behaviours. Because if you are purposely avoiding any kind of shame, any kind of awkwardness, any kind of funny looks, any kind of like pointing, or someone may possibly laugh at you, things like that. Okay, someone might mock you. Okay, if we're avoiding that, if we're absolutely terrified of that, then of course OCD is going to have that internal framework. So when I did these shame attacks and these exposures, I really felt the discomfort. I really experienced the unwanted feelings, okay? The anxiety, the shame, the embarrassment, the humiliation, the awkwardness, okay? And go, right, I'm feeling it all now. I feel it, it feels uncomfortable, but is it really as scary as I perceive? No. What changes? Well, nothing actually changes. Just that person over there might think I'm a bit odd, okay? Ooh, scary. It's only scary if you sharpen that person's judgment with your own beliefs. Remember that. With your own perception, and this is the power of perception, it only becomes scary if we tell ourselves it is scary. Of course, I don't like the feeling of rejection. I don't like the feeling of awkwardness or people laughing at you or people embarrassing you. I don't want that feeling. I don't want to be disapproved. I like being liked. You know, I want to be loved. I want to be respected. Of course, I'm human. But when you're doing these things, you are bringing down the internal catastrophization. You're going, right, yes, I don't like it, but is it really as bad? Is it the worst thing ever? Can I stand it? Well, yes, I am, because I'm still standing it. Can I bear it? Well, yes, it's very uncomfortable. I can bear it, because there I am. I'm still standing. I haven't just exploded yet. I haven't just evaporated into thin air. I haven't just erupted yet, okay? So, and as we're doing this, we're seeing, yes, I can see in my head how I was catastrophizing. So we're changing the unhealthy negative response, the unhealthy negative feeling, that extreme response, and we're changing it to a healthy feeling, so a healthy response, such as dislike or sorrow or regret or frustration that you feel that way, not wanting, a healthy preference to not feel that way, or to not be rejected, or healthy preference to be approved, but it's not that I need to be approved. I need this. I need that person's approval. It's terrible if they don't like me. And that is what fuels and stems most of the OCD suffering. You know, most people that come into me, it's the fear of rejection. It's the fear of going to jail. It's the fear of being abandoned. It's the fear of living as a social outcast. It's the fear of being disapproved, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? So that's so important. So that's a bit on shame attacks. But just, it's 12 minutes already. I don't want to go on too long, but I'm going to. So the bottom line here is that, and I'm going to say it again for everyone at the back, for everyone who needs this repeating. You will not recover from OCD whilst doing compulsions. It is as simple and as plain as that. Use that as your motivator. Use that as, oh, I don't feel ready to cut that compulsion. Oh, that's too difficult. Oh, no, that's too much. I've been there. That was me. I needed some very tough love wake-up calls. I needed that kick up the ass, for lack of a better term, because I put off to tomorrow. I'll wait until I feel ready. I'll wait until I feel less anxious. Well, you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to wait. You're never going to suddenly feel less anxious if you're putting something off. Tomorrow is always tomorrow, because today it's then tomorrow again. Okay, so we cannot be putting things off. We have to take recovery very, very seriously, like our life depends on it. Okay, I had to use that mindset because, let's be honest, my life did depend on it. OCD took so much away from me. I now see it as beneficial. I see it as I'm thankful for it, because it's completely empowered my life. But if I let it, if I stuck in the compulsive cycle, then my life was going by and I was just existing. I wasn't living. So let's really think about this. You can get better. You will get better. Patience, time, and persistence. Cut those compulsions.